I never thought the day would come when I'd see my car tearing down the highway on live TV, especially not with the HOA president's son behind the wheel. But that's exactly what happened. Let me take you back to where it all started. It was supposed to be a quiet Saturday morning. I had a mug of coffee in hand, standing on my porch, admiring the shine on my Dodge Challenger, my pride and joy. I called her the Black Beast. I'd worked 3 jobs to afford her, and I'd spent the previous night detailing every inch until she gleamed like she'd just rolled off a showroom floor. That's when she appeared, Karen, the self-appointed queen of our HOA. You know the type: sunglasses, a clipboard, and an ego that could power a small city. She strutted toward my driveway, arms crossed and lips pursed. "You know," she said, eyeing the car with disdain, "that thing's a little much for our neighborhood." I smirked, sipping my coffee. "Don't worry, Karen, it's not going anywhere." If only I'd known how wrong I was. A few hours later, I went inside to grab lunch, leaving my keys on the counter. 15 minutes, that's all it took. Suddenly, I heard the familiar roar of an engine outside. My engine. I bolted to the window and froze. My Challenger was gone. Heart racing, I sprinted out the door and down the driveway. Tire marks streaked the pavement. My neighbor Dave stood across the street, waving me over with his phone in hand. "Dude, your car just took off." "I swear it was Karen's kid behind the wheel." My stomach dropped. Karen's son, Tyler, the same punk I caught sneaking through yards last week. Karen had brushed it off, saying he was just curious. Not this time. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911 before my brain could catch up. Within minutes, the dispatcher confirmed it. A black Challenger had been spotted speeding down the highway, weaving through traffic at over 120 miles per hour. I flipped on the TV, and there it was. My car, front and center, leading a trail of police cruisers while a helicopter followed from above. My stomach turned to ice. This wasn't just a stolen car anymore. It was a full-blown high-speed chase broadcast live on the evening news. The reporter's voice crackled through the chaos. Authorities believe the suspect may be a local miner. My phone blew up. Texts, screenshots, links, live clips, neighbors tagging me nonstop. Then, in the middle of the madness, came a message that made my blood boil. "Karen, we need to talk. Now." I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. Because deep down, I already knew. Her son had just made the biggest mistake of his life. I sat there, glued to the TV, watching my Challenger slice through lanes like a scene from an action movie. The helicopter camera zoomed in, my custom license plate glinting under the sun like a cruel joke. That was my car. My pride. My years of sweat and saving. And now it was the star of a police pursuit. The reporter's voice trembled with adrenaline. "The driver appears to be a teenager, possibly unlicensed, reaching speeds exceeding 130 miles per hour. That's when it hit me. Tyler, 17 years old. Barely passed his driving test. The footage shifted. My Challenger darted between lanes, nearly clipping cars, then shot into the emergency shoulder. Sirens wailed from every direction. That growl of the engine, usually my favorite sound, now felt like a knife twisting in my gut. My phone buzzed again. It was Karen. "Do something!" she shouted before I could even say hello. "Please, you have to do something." "Karen!" I snapped, trying to stay calm. "Your son stole my car." "He didn't mean to." "He's scared. Just talk to the police." "Please don't press charges." "He's doing 130 on the freeway, Karen. You think this is about charges?" Before she could answer, the live feed cut to breaking footage. One of the patrol cars tried to block him. Tyler swerved, clipped a bumper, spun out, then somehow regained control before fishtailing into the median. Gasps filled the newsroom. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it over the TV. Then came the moment that made my blood run cold. The helicopter camera zoomed out as my car exited the highway, barreling straight toward a residential area, our residential area. He was coming home. I dropped the phone and ran outside. The wail of sirens echoed closer every second. Neighbors poured onto their lawns, phones raised, filming the chaos, and then I saw it, my car covered in dust. Screaming down Maple Drive. Tyler blew past my house so fast I felt the gust hit me. Police cruisers thundered after him, tires screeching as they turned the corner. The chopper hovered overhead, its spotlight slicing through the haze, and then, like something out of an action movie gone wrong, Tyler swerved to avoid a parked van, clipped the curb, and launched off the pavement. The Challenger twisted midair, slammed into a row of trash cans, and skidded violently to a stop in front of the community park. The entire street froze. Even the helicopter seemed to pause midair, its rotors whipping debris across the grass. My dream car, my soul on four wheels, was now nothing but twisted metal and smoke. And right then I realized this wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning. The screeching finally stopped, and I took off running toward the wreck. The acrid smell of burnt rubber stung my nose as smoke curled from under the hood. Police sirens blared closer, lights flashing like lightning. Officers poured in, guns drawn. My pulse hammered in my ears as I spotted movement inside the car. Tyler, the HOA Queen's golden boy, slumped over the steering wheel. "Step out of the vehicle! Hands where we can see them!" one officer shouted. The door creaked open and Tyler stumbled out, disoriented and shaking. No major injuries, thank God. But the sight still turned my stomach. His face was ghost white, his eyes wide, the kind of look that said he'd just realized how far he'd gone. Then came she, Karen. She came running down the street, pushing past the barricade like a storm. "That's my son! Don't you touch him!" she screamed, her voice cutting through the chaos. Officers held her back, but she kept shouting, "He didn't mean it! It's not his fault!" I wanted to shout back, to demand why her son was in my car, but something about the desperation in her voice stopped me. She wasn't just scared. She was hiding something. Later, after Tyler was handcuffed and loaded into the patrol car, I sat on the curb beside what used to be my Challenger. Police combed the area, collecting pieces of my shattered life. One officer approached and handed me my wallet. "Found in the glove compartment. Lucky you got this back," he said with a faint smirk. I forced out a laugh, but inside I was boiling. Karen slowly approached, her mascara streaked down her cheeks. "Please," she whispered, voice trembling. "You can't press charges. You don't understand. He's been through so much." "Karen," I said flatly, "your son stole my car and nearly wiped out half the county." Her lip quivered. "It's not just that," she said, glancing around before leaning closer. "Tyler's been mixed up in something." I tried to fix it. I told him to stay away. Her words sent a cold shiver crawling up my spine. "What kind of something?" I asked. She hesitated, eyes darting nervously toward the police line. "He owes people money. A lot of it. He said he just needed to borrow a car for a quick run. I didn't think he meant yours. I thought he was bluffing." I stared at her, disbelief and anger swirling inside me. So this wasn't a stupid joyride. It was desperation. A reckless, terrified attempt to fix a problem that had already spun out of control. As the tow truck hauled my Challenger away, I watched Karen's perfect world unravel before my eyes. The queen of the HOA, her ironed blouses, manicured lawn, and endless rules, none of it mattered now. The mask had cracked. She wasn't the tyrant she pretended to be. Just another parent drowning in chaos. Still, that didn't erase what happened. My car was totaled. My trust gone, but I had no idea that Tyler's mistake was about to drag me even deeper into something darker. 2 days after the chase, the neighborhood still looked like a crash site. Tire marks scarred the pavement, and news vans lined the street, vultures with cameras instead of claws. Every time I stepped outside, microphones turned my way. "Sir, are you the owner of the Challenger? Did you know the suspect? Is it true he's the HOA president's son?" I didn't answer. What could I even say? The world had already watched it live. That night, I couldn't sleep. The sound of metal grinding and sirens echoed in my mind. I kept seeing Tyler's pale, panicked face behind the wheel. Then, close to midnight, a faint knock echoed from my front door. When I opened it, Karen stood there. No clipboard, no sunglasses, no superiority. Just a trembling woman holding an envelope. "They're charging him," she said, voice cracking. "Grand theft auto, reckless endangerment, evading police. They might try him as an adult." I stayed silent as she extended the envelope toward me. Inside was a cashier's check, enough to cover the car and then some. I sold the house, she whispered. It's the least I can do. For a moment, I wanted to remind her how she'd treated everyone, how she'd lectured, belittled, and bullied. But standing there, she didn't look like an HOA tyrant. She looked human, broken. I hope you both find peace, I said quietly. She turned to leave, but paused at the door. You should know, she said softly. Tyler wasn't trying to run away. He was trying to get to the police station. He thought if he got there, he'd be safe from the people he owed. That's why he panicked when he saw them following him. The chase, it wasn't about you. It was about them. Her words hit me like a gut punch. The whole thing, the chase, the crash, the chaos, it wasn't just a crime. It was a cry for help. After she left, I sat staring at the check. The money could replace a car, sure, but not the damage it caused. Not the fear. Not the realization that beneath our quiet little suburb was a world of secrets and desperation. A few weeks later, I bought another Challenger. Same model, same color. But it meant something different this time. It wasn't just horsepower and polish. It was a reminder of control, forgiveness, and how quickly order can turn to chaos. Sometimes I still drive past the spot where the first one crashed. The skid marks have faded, but they're still there, like scars that never quite heal. And every time I hear that engine roar, I think of that day. The day a stolen car turned an entire neighborhood inside out. Yo, if you made it all the way here, you're the real MVP. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tell me down in the comments, who was worse, Karen or her son? I read every single one of your takes.